So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And based on a couple of videos that I just did, I thought we'd talk about a topic, FOMO. Do you know what FOMO is? Well, let's ask Alexa. Alexa, what's FOMO?
Mofo is a slang term that stands for mother f***er. It is considered offensive and vulgar. It's used to express anger or frustration.
No. Sorry about that, folks. No, Alexa, what's FOMO? F-O-M-O.
FOMO stands for fear of missing out and is a type of social anxiety in which a person feels as if they are missing an important experience or opportunity.
All right, that's more like it. So yeah, in this video, we're going to talk about that, particularly related to those Vinegar Syndrome VSU titles I talked about in a previous video. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. So what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the JeffMan316 Pop Culture Reporter channel. I'm your host, as always, JeffMan316. That's me on the sign. When I do a live stream, it's usually Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. Come over and watch it when you see me put up the notification. But in this video, yeah, as you saw in the intro, we're talking about FOMO. But I started thinking about it when it was related to these Vinegar Syndrome titles. This was the first VSU I ever bought. Beastmaster, and this movie was in 4K. This was a nostalgic trip for me. I loved this movie growing up. Multiple reasons you probably you can guess. This is the first VSU title that was released. I loved it. I loved the fact that it came in this magnetic box. I loved the fact that it had cool artwork inside. I loved that everything about it. Now, what I didn't like was the price was a little high. But I went ahead and said, hey, I'm not really going to get that line because I didn't like the second movie. Now, I say that and I've got it here. It's Six String Samurai. And I watched it and it was okay. It really wasn't my cup of tea, but I did not get that one second. What I did was I didn't think about that line at all at the beginning. And I ended up getting this one second because I grew up with this one. Nostalgia factor again. Cloak and Dagger. I love this one. Part of the reason was the packaging, but I also love the movie. Look, it's got that cool Atari packaging inside. So did you guys like I did, Beastmaster, Cloak and Dagger? If you grew up watching those films, put the comments down below. So what ended up happening after that was they released a movie that I considered basically one of those that's so bad it's goods. But I loved it, and it was a mainstay on cable back in the day. It was Roadhouse. And so obviously I had to get Roadhouse. Now the next one that came out, I believe these are in the order, don't worry if they're not, but it was Sidekicks. Sidekicks. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now, I'm not that big of a Chuck Norris fan. Yeah, don't throw stuff at me. So I was more of a Charles Bronson fan. I know they were both cheesy, but I wasn't into Kung Fu and any of that stuff. And if I was, it was more like Jean-Claude Van Damme type of stuff. So I ended up not getting the next couple VSU releases, and I was fine with that. So sometimes FOMO isn't a thing, and sometimes I'm okay with, if I've already skipped a title, to go ahead and skip another one because the completist in me doesn't come out. And we'll talk about more of that later. But what ended up happening was later down the line, one of the releases got really popular. It became really expensive, and I missed it. And it was Showgirls. And the reason that I have it now was I ended up trading for this. There's no way I would have paid the online eBay prices for this. So I ended up trading for Showgirls. A couple of you, if you followed me for a while, I remember talking about in one of my live streams that I was looking to complete the VSU line at the time because I did buy the next one. Daryl, once again, for the nostalgia factor. I really liked this movie back in the day. So now I was like, holy shit, Roadhouse and Showgirls were the two that everybody wanted. Those are the two most expensive ones. I've got a complete collection. So I went ahead and started continuing with the line. I got a movie that I had never seen before, but my father said was good. Southern Comfort. That was the next one. And then also another movie nostalgia hit for me, Navy SEALs. This was another mainstay on cable back in the day. So, hey, I was like, this is pretty good. The line, has a lot of movies that I like. So maybe I'll just go ahead and continue it. But then, as you can see, I talked about the movie Congo that I just got. I watched it, and that nostalgia factor just wasn't 100% there. And I started thinking, did I just buy a bad movie? And once again, now I have a complete VSU line. There's a pre-order for one out for Virtuosity that I've got to decide, am I going to continue? And so I liked a lot of the comments you guys gave me over time in the last couple videos about maybe I should just worry about collecting movies I like and not worry about just collecting everything. And now, once I have a complete line, that's when the completist in me comes out. And it's happened to me before. I think I mentioned it in a video and a live stream. I bought Jeepers Creepers Reborn. I loved the other two. The third one was okay. I heard the fourth one was terrible. I didn't see it, obviously, in the limited theatrical release. But I went ahead and bought it to complete it. So if they end up making another straight to video one, I guess I'll have to buy that one. That's the completist in me. So then I started thinking about it. That's the two main reasons that I don't consider myself just a movie lover. I'm a movie lover and I'm a collector. So why is the collector in me so worried about FOMO, fear of missing out sometimes, or the completist in me about missing out? So as I was doing, I did some research on the topic, and so I was reading through some articles or whatever, and some of the bullet points in there rang true with me, that I really do think they're the reasons that I worry about FOMO and being a completist. So I wanted to go over a few of those points with you and see if you guys agree with them. So let's just start once again by reiterating, what is FOMO? FOMO is the fear of missing out. And it's a very powerful psychological driver that can impact the behavior of collectors like me and you who get physical media. So one of the main ways that FOMO can manifest itself is through limited editions and exclusive titles. We just experienced that with that list I gave you of the Vinegar Syndrome VSU titles. I've also discussed this in a couple of videos, and like I said before, I loved the comments you guys gave me. It made me think about collecting and why I collect. So obviously, as collectors, we're often drawn to these rare releases, steelbooks, exclusive titles, VSUs, these sets that are produced in so-called quote-unquote limited quantities. We've talked about that before. The fear of these movies selling out and becoming unavailable can create a great sense of urgency. It leads to somewhat of maybe impulsive purchases sometimes. Yeah. So I know these retailers, especially the online ones and studios, they amplify this when they market the products by using phrases like, while supplies last, or this is limited to so many copies. The growing popularity, though, of boutique labels like Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow, Shout, I think that intensifies FOMO amongst the collector community, including me for sure. Those boutique labels, they produce collectible editions of films, and the thought of missing out on one of those can make you feel like you're losing a big opportunity to own something significant and special. But are they really that special? No. Since many of these editions will eventually go out of print, their value sometimes skyrockets on the secondary market like on eBay, making the fear of missing out even worse. I myself have sold a couple Steelbooks recently for $100 on eBay, and I replaced them with just slipcover versions. Yeah, Slipcover Steve would be proud of me, right? So FOMO also ties into that completist mentality that I talked about earlier. That's me. Where a collector, you feel compelled to own every release of maybe like a movie series or a movie franchise or a studio or from a director. Another thing that describes me perfectly. I told you about that Jeepers Creepers. That's exactly what that is. So I not only bought that movie Jeepers Creepers Reborn once, but twice, in a regular version and a Steelbook. But the damn Steelbook artwork is really cool.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
But I can obviously tell you that the drive of missing out can lead to acquiring titles that you may not be particularly always interested in, like in those VSU titles. I guess I need to decide moving forward, am I going to finish that line? Am I going to keep collecting it? Another factor is the fear of the digital disappearance, is what I call it. You got all these streaming services and platforms who cycle content in and out, sometimes even permanently removing titles. Physical media offers me the feeling of permanence. It's mine once I buy it. No one can remove it from my collection. Maybe an act of God like I've had recently. If you only own a movie digitally, you may have a fear of losing access to it, and that'll push collectors like me and you to prioritize buying physical copies for sure. Finally, here's a real biggie for me. social media influence. It plays a big role in FOMO. You got YouTube channels, social media influencers. They're all dedicated to collecting, and they create an environment where they showcase their rare finds, their purchases, and even freebies sent over for review copies. Often seeing others' collections can create a sense of maybe like urgency to go out and buy that stuff yourself because you feel like your collection is inadequate. It makes collectors feel that they need to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. Finally, it's also helpful to remember some of the sought-after titles that you might think are going to be out of print are often reissued when other companies get the rights. And also, Vinegar Syndrome, I've heard from you guys say, yeah, hey, they are not so limited sometimes. They have conventions where they sell the so-called titles that are out of print or not for sale on their site. So maybe I should take a break from social media or online collecting communities for every once in a while to quit feeling this pressure, and so I don't want to feel inadequate. But finally, I think I'm going to shift my focus from just accumulating titles and maybe curate my collection a little more and own more meaningful titles, ones that I enjoy, ones that can fulfill my collecting experience without just having to always keep up with the Joneses, like I said. So finally, let me know in the comments down below. How does FOMO affect you? How does it affect the titles you buy? How does it affect your collection? Which ones you keep in your collection? How does the completist mentality affect you? Does it at all? Are you like me and sometimes you feel like you need to continue a movie series even though you know the movies aren't great? Do you continue a movie line like VSU? I know some of you do it, but I also know that others in the comments made it seem like it's very easy to quit doing that. I wanted to let you know at the time I started this channel, I was collecting wrestling figures way more than I was collecting physical media. And then as my physical media purchases ramped up, I did stop collecting figures and I sold a majority of my older ones that were worth money to help fund my physical media collecting habits. But I will say that it was a struggle to sell some of those, as you know, I felt the pressure of, it took me a while to get that into my collection. I did a lot of trading, I did a lot of online buying, I did a lot of eBay purchases, and it was almost like a piece of me. I was selling it off a little bit at the time, so it did hurt, but it was easier the more I did it. It became easier the more I sold. But I knew that since I was also using it to fund my other collecting habits of physical media, that it needed to be done. And also for space-wise, there's no way I could collect both in both worlds. So that's why this channel has changed over the years. And I think it's going to stay with physical media because I love it so much. So either way, hopefully you guys supported this, and hopefully you guys put a lot of comments like you have in the past few videos. And also throw a like on the video, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that normal YouTube stuff. If you're new to the channel, I really appreciate you. Make sure you hit the notification bell. You'll know when I post new videos. You also need to check out my socials down below in the description. JeffMan316. Hit me up on Instagram. I chat with a lot of you guys there. Come over, join my Facebook page, JeffMan316 Pop Culture Reporter. Anything you do can support the channel. I really appreciate it. If you want to support me monetarily, the description, how to do that is down below as well. So I really appreciate the support, and hopefully we'll have a good 2025. And until next time, boys and girls, this has been JeffMan316. I'm your Pop Culture Reporter signing out, saying you guys be safe out there.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.